Pleasant
Good
morning.
morning.
We're in a
Good day,
different.
everybody.
We're back in the beach side,
Yeah, welcome to Go Palakas.
Nalalanghap namin yung hangin na galing sa dagat. Okay?
Fresh
Iron.
air.
Negative ions.
Mm.
So alam niyo, magandang umaga and greetings to all. And I hope that
We are all well despite our recent earthquake.
O yun
Saan man kayo?
yun, memory namin ngayon lahat dun sa earthquake na yun nangyari.
kasi siyempre kaming kasawa, we were in Baguio when the killer earthquake hit us in 1990.
Oh, and apparently this one is only second to
Second.
that in strength.
And in this situation, the earthquake only, kumbaga it didn't last very long.
Mm,
Tsaka isang direction lang o kumbaga yung movement niya, hindi yung Baguio, there were two That
Mm-mm.
means there were two fault lines
Tagal
kasi
yun.
Yeah.
Tagal.
and it took almost 1 minute. So the first one was 28 seconds. Yung kung nandito kayo, nadaman niyo yung earthquake recently, 28 seconds tumagal yun yung sa Baguio.
mm-mm.
Then huminto, nagkaroon ng parang 10, 15 second break. Tapos that's
But
when
it
the
seemed
other,
like right after.
yeah, right. Then another earthquake, another fault line opened.
So hopefully
Gumalaw.
hindi na yun maulit, no?
So there you go. And the rest is history. We lost quite a number of kababayans in Baguio. 70% of the building were
Suffer.
70% of the building were damaged. Talaga, yun talagang total. Hindi na pwedeng gamitin.
Yes.
So
But
the
we
rebuilding
survived
took
that,
place.
and now we survived this next one.
Oo.
And tamang-tama, we're talking about resiliency, no?
Kasi nga yun ang nag-trigger kung bakit naisip yung topic na yan dahil nga dumaan tayo sa isang malaking
Reminder.
uh,
Ang tawag ko ron,
disaster.
reminder. Because kasi
Sometimes we
in our
forget that
lives,
it can happen.
we have many little earthquakes happening in our own lives.
Big also.
Sometimes big. Ito, natural naman to. But
yung pandemic, halos hanggang ngayon, nandun pa yung
Nandun pa
earthquake
rin.
na yun, habang
Oo.
yata
Yeah.
yung earthquake na yung pandemic.
yeah, it's still,
Kanya-kanya.
and we're still trying to adapt to going back to the old ways.
Aftershocks.
And then you will find so many we all have to take matters too in our hands. Because when you talk about resiliency, we are by nature resilient beings.
Correct. That is our nature.
Yeah,
Talagang ganun eh. Maraming changes, no?
right.
And always, hindi mo ini-expect.
Because
Bigla-bigla.
that is something that was designed for us,
Oo.
that these things are going to happen.
Correct.
We're placed in this world,
Yes.
and there was a plan. It's not like
A world of changes.
Yeah,
Constant change.
and then, so that means we need to understand fully that the conditions we are in, the conditioning we are in, and the temporariness of our being
Yeah,
in this
yes.
world.
Yeah.
These are the parameters involved. You have to deal with conditions due to the natural systems that's there, change, climate change, or may kalug, or may may diseases,
The
dumadating.
type of people we deal with.
Right.
Kaya nga, kung ang issue dito, natural naman pala na merong mga obstacles, challenges, earthquakes.
Mm-mm.
So, what is why ang pinaka-purpose ng mga ganun ay para matuto din tayo.
Oh, yeah.
O tsaka
It's
lumakas
for us
tayo.
to grow, yes,
To be matatag.
to be
Oo.
strong.
Plus, we have to understand there's a deeper understanding to our being. Kaya nga, as tayo, we have that ability. Like, for example, the tree shook up. Kaluglad sila. Then,
Hindi sila tumumba.
some of them di tumumba. Yung mga nataga na ng bundok, iba na yon, no? Pero, kumbaga, in nature,
Slide na yun.
the resiliency is given to all
Yes, correct.
to be able to survive and adapt and adjust to the given nature of this world.
Mm-mm.
That
Tsaka there are lessons to be learned in.
right.
Mm-mm.
That also involves us.
Yes.
But when you embrace a life that is separate from nature,
Mm.
this is where the difficulty comes to play.
Oo.
Kasi we don't recognize that natural magkakaroon ng earthquake.
Mm.
Natural magkakaroon ng bagyo.
Oo.
Natural na magkakaroon ng init. how we can adapt and how we can make our adjustments, or, embrace a lifestyle that recognizes these facts that is there, that we cannot change. Kasi alam nyo, may ganito eh. Like I work in helping rehabilitating, yung mga
Environment.
environment, yung mga forests, watersheds, and tapos prevention of pollution. No?
Mhm.
There are several components to this activity. But the first two, we cannot do something. It has to do with climate, okay, and landscape.
Hmm.
Kumbaga in nature, these are two things you cannot change.
Mm.
Pero, di ba may mga nanira ng landscape?
Hindi, we can go into that, but in general,
General, that's given.
that's given.
Oh,
It only means if we are in a right consciousness and mind,
oo. Right perspective.
perspective in this situation, you begin to see your own limitation. So that means when you begin to alter the landscape,
Ayan.
to make changes, you have altered a system that has been placed by nature.
And that has worked all that time, no?
Yes. And then you have situations where, kunyari, when you go to the city, you've changed the landscape totally. Ito nga yun eh.
Oo, kasi yung developers, parang erase lahat.
Okay.
Pati bundok
Lagyan natin ng semento
Oo.
yan, o minina ko yan, o yung ganito yan. Pero you end up with a waste land.
Sisira yung
Nagiba nyo.
ayos
See,
na
the moment you change the dynamics of
nature.
nature, then those two, the moment you touch it, the severity of its impact
Aabot sa atin.
will be, we will feel that. Okay? So basta, if we are, we recognize that sa klima, kunyari ngayon, umiinit because of our way of life, umiinit yung karagatan. So the climate is changing kasi nagkaroon ng
Inalter kasi
Oo,
natin yung mga landscape.
Kasi
Sa Europe, natutusta na yung mga tao.
Yung-
Hindi lang sa Europe.
ano to eh, may,
America.
Oo, maraming parts of the world.
may mga details kasi ito eh. May mga detalye. Kunyari, dahil umiinit yung planeta natin, dahil sa carbon. Carbon eh. It's our pollution. We're polluting the air and water. But the water, kasi in nature, kunyari, there is a project now that's being proposed. So it might be approved already. In Bulacan, they're going to build a new airport.
Yeah.
Okay? Alam niyo ba yung lugar na kung saan sila magtatayo?
Oh.
Lahat swampland.
Ay, di tatakpan na naman ng semento.
Lahat yan wetland. So
Oo.
ngayon, 3 bayan yun
Mm.
ang maapektuhan.
Yes.
In as much as the intention for everyone is, wow, we have a modern airport, wow,
Yeah.
something like
Oo,
this,
so
up far in the world,
advantages.
may ganun sila, we will provide employment. But when you start to alter the wetlands,
Mm.
which for anyone, wetlands are not there
For no reason.
for no reason.
Oo.
Ibig sabihin yan, nagkaroon yan ng, this is where land and its contours intentionally kept fresh water in place
O para we need that
Yeah.
kasi.
that we all would need.
Yes.
Ngayon, when you alter that, so yun, binago mo yung landscape.
Ako, so may bago rin tayong problema nito.
Kumbaga hindi nyo alam ngayon kasi yung lawak nung yung kung saan nagkagaling yung tubig para mag-form yung wetlands, yung source nun.
Oo. di
May
sa-
mga
sa
contours kasi yan eh.
mountains, so,
Tapos meron yung mga water lines, yung mga ganun, which will shape, no? Kaya ko sinasabi ito, when you start to alter this situation, then we should be ready to face the consequences of our action.
Ako. So that's why you're saying it's important to have this connection with nature because then we can appreciate that actually kasi nature is the best designer eh. Inayos na niya eh, di ba?
Oo. Binago lang natin. Kunyari, many of the damage that occurred in this recent earthquake you will see. Most of it is altered landscape.
Yun
Oh,
nga,
yeah.
oo. Kaya
Sa mga highways,
Highways, kung nasaan yung nilagay nila yung building. Kasi alam nyo, meron naman tayong mga building codes. Sinasabi nila, meron na lahat ng pag-aaral nasaan yung
Oo.
fault line. Huwag kayong magtatayo ng building dito sa mga fault line. Alalahanin nyo, ang Cordillera, kumbaga na fault line, it's pure fault line yung Cordillera.
Ang
Pure
dami.
fault line yan. Kaya nga
network of fault lines.
kaya nga nandyan yung mga minas eh. Kung nasaan yung fault lines, nandun yung mga pinakamararaming magandang minas.
Oh,
So, the mga
May warning na noon na wag na mag-build sa mga lugar
sa
na
lugar
yan.
na ganon. So when you are insisting, like if you've been, we were Baguio earthquake survivors, and we, as a community, civil government and non-government groups and civil society, we all came together.
Oo,
We had a
nag-meeting.
Congress for almost a month,
Oo,
3
after
times
the
a week.
1990 earthquake.
These were the ones we were crafting our what to do and what not to do.
Yes,
Mhm.
oo.
So the population of Baguio went back to its normal, nakakayanin ng environment, no?
Mm-mm.
You know, we all,
Napag-agree
we all
yan.
forgot about that.
Oo, because at that time they
The
agreed.
buildings are only 4 floors.
Oo. Ngayon ang dami na naman matataas.
Yeah, so you see, and not only that, syempre yung development dito sa Baguio City, pumunta sa mga ibang bayan-bayan ng Cordillera. So pati yung style ng mga bahay natin, nung araw naman, when we keep to native good materials, when you have earthquakes, they were
Kaya.
designed kasi it's light and structure.
Sumasabay
Sumasabay, nagsisway siya. Pero ngayon, pag kayo nasa loob ng mall nung time na yun, nasa loob ng building, because it was the time of the day that people were at work,
Oo.
oh man, panic yan.
Oo.
Kasi kumbaga na, kahit anong practice na gawin ninyo, you know, the practice is always good, but many times, how often do we practice? How aware are we all the time of such occurrence?
Yes.
See, it's not something that's ingrained in our psyche that these things will happen unless you're in Japan. In Japan, they know kasi every day na may quake sila eh.
Pero yung buildings nila may roller sa
May
ilalim.
roller sa ilalim.
para Mag-adjust dun sa movement. Sa atin, wala.
Konti lang ang meron.
Oo.
So these are things
But
that
the newer buildings are more following the standards.
standards, but
Pero
yet
the old
you
one,
know,
hindi pa.
we don't have such kumbaga our standards compared to other countries because it depends on wealth. It has to do with money, di ba? In our economy to be able to really invest on the best of what you can to be resilient to this type of situation. Then, kumbaga marami rin, we're at fault in this situation because we forgot the nature part
Yeah.
Yes.
We are making it so that our lifestyle is not resilient or even our structures are not
Yeah.
adjusted or adaptable to whatever
To the real
mga
conditions.
disasters na dumadaan.
I was listening to the first maganda the national government was there. They all went to Abra, and the local government and all the people who are involved in disaster preparedness were all there. You know, well, you have a new government. Siyempre, nag-a-adjust sila, nabigla sila nito. But
Oo.
welcome to
Bigla pa lang.
kumbaga, it's a reminder na if you want to be the leader of the country, you should actually change a lot of things.
Yes.
Meaning, now they want to put ROTC back. But what should we do with the ROTC? The ROTC dapat sana, doon na lang sila sa national disaster preparedness, nag-ooperate sila. Kung ganun yung intention noon,
We really need
then
that.
even if our armed forces, sana mas marami na tayong mga choppers, mga eroplano that can ferry goods.
Yeah, go
Ganun
to those
yung
liblib na places.
magiging ganun yung orientation sana. Kasi, let's face it, hindi naman tayo makikipagdigma sa nature Dapat, we embrace nature. But yet, because our society has been designed in such a way na we did not conform to nature's laws and ways. So, we're faced with the problem. Kaya naririnig ko nga yung kuro-kuro nila You know, sabi ng isa, head chief fireman, yung mga ganon, sabi niya kagad, nabigla kami nito and kasi ganito ang problema namin wala kaming fire truck o wala kaming rescue equipment. Kulang kami sa ganito, kulang kami sa gano'n.
Fire trucks.
But you know, on the end of the
Wonderful.
day, I saw the Cordilleras in the early
Mhm.
days. I saw how resilient people are there. That they're not dependent on national government. They're dependent on their resourcefulness. So if
Magandang
you
sense.
are in charge of disaster preparedness, you also have to make do with how resourceful you can be. And this resourcefulness is the key to resiliency.
Yes.
Because you will recognize the fact that we have been given the ability to think and determine what makes us resilient as a race.
Mm-mm.
You know? Now, we create our own wars. Tingnan niyo. Kumbaga, mali yata yung mindset ng ating parang imbis na human life ang ating gagampanan magmahalan tayo, magtulungan tayo, magganyan ang gagawin natin. Kayari, galit tayo sa isa't isa. And we are, kumbaga at the rate we're using nature's resources, it's like that there's no tomorrow anymore.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we forgot about our
It
responsibility.
only means that the way we have lived and embraced our lives, it's a life of disconnection. So when things like this take place, oh, what happened? Yung na-reality check ka ngayon.
Gulat.
Biglang, if you are a mauler, meaning you go to the mall all the time, you kind of, nung araw, yung nag-earthquake sa Baguio, I'd say, wala pang masyadong mall eh.
Oh, yeah.
Kaya mababa yung number. Ang mga
Oo.
naging areas of casualty was schools because it was the time of the day. And at saka when people were hotels, yun yung main, kumbaga yung structures na nandun. Pero wala kang mga mall. Kakaunti pa wala nun eh.
Oo.
Tsaka
Wala pa
wala pang mga condominiums
Wala.
na matataas, di
Yung
ba?
hotels ang matataas nun. Kahit na may mababang hotel o kaya yung Rice Terraces o yung Hyatt Terraces na naka-terrace yung shape niya, wow, conforming to the natural design of the Cordillera. But no matter what,
Building
no
that
matter how good you are in
Mhm.
building and following the codes, if the fault line is under you,
Yes.
there's not much you can do. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't know how much and how strong the earthquake will be. And you don't know that it will move into different direction. Kaya kahit anong ganda nung designs mo, I'm designed. Are we designed for this? Or are we designed for that? Or, you know what I'm saying? May mga ganun yan eh.
Foundational
But you
kasi yung
see, the
gagas.
earlier homes that was built was equipped for
Anything.
anything.
Mhm.
Lightened structures made of wood that comes from trees that don't just topple down during earthquakes.
Oo, matibay.
Ganun
Ay,
yan eh.
mga bamboo, hindi
Yeah.
pa na mga bahay.
Kasi resilient
Oo.
siya. Gumagalaw siya.
And it's as natural as it could be.
Yes.
Kaya, when I share this
Nature
with you, this is the component that most of us have embraced, because right now, when you build a house, no matter how sturdy in your standards or government standard that house may be, but if it doesn't conform to what a possibility of a disaster taking place, ito, kaya ng bahay ko yung mga bagyo na ganito. But na-Yolanda yung mga tao sa, or na Odette last year. No matter how strong your structures are, one, you will find they took out the components that nature had placed in that particular area because in the first place, these things do happen. Babagyuhin kayo dyan,
Mhm.
o ng fault lines nandito, babahain kayo dyan. May mga ganun eh. So you have to be able to understand that your confirmation, or to conform to the nature standard is different to conform to the standard that the land or government is giving you.
Oo, it's not
Since you-
necessarily gonna protect you.
Since you're not connected to nature, you're connected to a system, an institution.
An
that-
artificial system. O hindi na
So-
nature.
we have to face the consequences of that.
Kahit
And it may sound too negative here, but I'm talking about the truth
No,
there.
this is the
Kahit
reality
naman
of
sa
the situation.
America that is very rich and everything, ganun din nagiging problema nila with the flooding,
With their
with
tornado.
tornado,
The
and
droughts.
heat waves, and
Yeah.
hindi ba yung mga reservoirs nila nag-dry up na, mga ganun.
Grabe.
So,
Well,
Init.
really, this is a way na makikita natin meron tayong kakulangan and we are creating and designing our own suffering,
Right.
Yeah.
you know.
We're not, kumbaga, you're not creating self-reliance and kumbaga, natututo kayo to be able to, okay, I will live my life this way, but it has to conform to the nature systems. For
Yes.
example, I was in Clark City recently and Angela City. I was requested by the leadership there to look into the possibility of helping in designing a reforestation project for this is sa Mount Pinatubo, because there was studies made by the JICA, in Japanese agency that supports.
International
Anyways,
assistance.
you know what? Sabi nila 15 years ago that in such and such given time, by 2025, you will have a severe water shortage.
Naku, malapit na yan.
So 3 taon na lang yun.
Mm-mm.
So na yun, nagpapanik yung mga liderato.
Wala pang
And
solution.
you know what? I was speaking to them yesterday, some of the leaders who were there, and they were saying, we were given a type of choice, whether to use the water that is being extracted from the ground, which is the aquifers,
Yeah.
and
Should be your last resort.
and look into using surface water. Because
Yes.
everybody knows surface water is what we should be using.
Yes.
Ito yung galing sa ulan.
Oo.
Yeah.
Tsaka sa mga natural reservoirs, yung mga watersheds, ganyan yan. Mukhang nalimutan yata nila magtanim sa Mount Pinatubo after the volcanic reaction.
Ang tagal na
Parang-
no? By now,
Parang
they should
sinabi
have
nila,
had
siguro
forest.
we won't do anything first because unsettled yung mga landscapes.
Tagal na nun.
You know?
So yung lahar flows noon, parang mababaon lang yung
Oo.
mga tinatanim.
So tapos na yung panahon na yon, but
Years
still,
ago.
we didn't do as much as we
Yes.
should.
Yes.
So ngayon, they're in the dilemma. Yung pala, alam na nila na may mangyayari, mauubos yung tubig.
Oh my God.
But instead of, wait, let's slow down the development first, they started
Speed ahead.
for golf course, ang lalaki ng mga buildings. When you go to Clark na, ako nga, na-disoriente. Yung nakita ko yung Clark, ibang klase yung Clark na, parang
Very big.
nasa Makati ka na, yung insura niya, you know. But you know, they're facing a major issue. The moment you have issues on water,
Aquifer pa.
yeah. Like, okay, kanina, di ba, binanggit ko yung dalawa, landscape at saka climate, di ba?
Mhm.
That's nature.
Okay.
Nature, the landforms are shaped by nature. The climate, that's nature. Ang ano lang ng tao, dalawa. Marami yan, but the two major, kumbaga, meron tayong pwedeng gawin o pwede nating i-alter. One is water,
Mm.
okay? And two is the health of your soil, earth.
And what's our grade when it
And if
comes
you do these two things,
Oh.
you know to manage these two things, then
may
food,
paraan?
kasi may
Survival.
oo, kasi yan ang formula.
Resiliency.
Kumain at
If
saka
we do the
uminom.
right
At
thing.
We're alive.
Oo, may pagkain kayo, may tubig kayo. Kasi pag may tubig, makakatanim ka.
Oo.
Maraming ano yan. Basta those are the only two components that we can do something about. We can change that or we can ignore it. We have those
Can make
choices.
it worse also.
Yes, it can make it worse for everyone. So ngayon, yun, kaya binanggit ko yung ehemplo dito sa Central Luzon. They had a choice on the
Oh my
water.
gosh, I hope they do the right thing.
But can I say that in Germany, ngayon pa lang, wala pa lang winter, they're already telling people we are cutting down the heaters in swimming pools, in
Yeah.
gyms, and in buildings. We're already cutting down energy lighting in the certain areas, streets, and everything at a certain time. Kasi nagko-conserve na sila ngayon bago pa pumasok ang
Winter time.
Oo.
Oo.
O at
Kasi-
least meron silang proactive
Yeah,
sila.
iniisip na nila may magkakaroon tayo ng problema. Ngayon pa lang
Oo.
ayusin natin.
Actually, that's a very good point as far as resiliency is concerned. Kailangan
Yes.
proactive tayo.
Oo. And actually, batiin muna natin yung mga ating kaibigan.
Kesh,
Oo, si Kish, si Mike
Good
Rex.
morning.
Rex,
Oo,
Gulay,
Gulay.
Lakbay Buhay, Gulay from Gemini Ross. Good morning to you.
And-
The Mainigo Tribe, Harry Yumol. Okay, good morning. Angel Gonzalo, Cat
Si
Rex,
Binoya Jean. Oo.
Helen. Helen is here.
Oo.
Yes.
Okay.
And
We do hope that
Angel.
things that we're talking about make sense to all of you
Sino pa? Yan si
because
Krishna Salazar.
Mary Salazar.
Yes.
And si Abelina Aguas. And Thomas and Miguel
Thomas is
Vargas.
from Angeles City.
Oh, yan. Oh, Yogi Padilla and Mike Rex and Dixie Palmos. O merong sharing si Mike Rex. I'm a survivor of 1990 Baguio o earthquake. You should expect the unexpected from Mother Nature. In spite of the worst situation, the Filipino culture of being matulungin and God conscious prevailed. We all must
Learn disaster preparedness and understand studying the
work
works
of
of
nature,
nature.
especially the youth of today. Ayan.
Yes.
Oo. Bumati rin si Ligaya Dizon and Lizelle Alipio and si Vina Pasqua.
Oh,
Oh,
and Dixie.
isa.
Dixie Palma.
Yeah, Zaldi Tan is greeting
Mhm.
us also. Thank you for joining us, no? Actually, ang ganda-ganda nung topic natin kasi there's still time for us to do something, hindi ba? Sabi nga nung isang taon, life does not get easier and it doesn't become more forgiving in the sense, syempre, yung sinasabi mo, there's situations we cannot change. Pati naman yung human body natin habang tumatagal, ano ba sabihin natin, dumadali ba yung ating physical strength, hindi ba? However, we should become more strong and resilient because this is something we can control and
Yes.
actually develop, hindi ba?
Yung consciousness
Yung
natin.
consciousness
Yeah.
natin. Yan.
It's a choice
Yeah,
that we have
yeah,
been given.
correct.
So that means if this is seen that, in the past, simplicity is encouraged.
Yeah. Oh,
Kasi you don't have much that you really need, di
Right.
ba?
Mm.
Kasi pwede naman tayong mabuhay na ganun.
Simple lang.
Right? We can minimize. Like the COVID experience, we should have learned from it.
That's one
And
thing we
that's
do
what we should be
learn
able to say.
lessons.
Baguhin ko na yung situation ngayon right now. Everybody's trying to go back to the way we lived before with vengeance. Yung mga nagta-travel talagang yung parang
Biyahe maski saan.
2 years kang hindi
Vengeance
nakabiyahe lahat.
vacation.
Biyahe ka ng biyahe.
Init na lumabas at magbiyahe.
But
But for resilience, we need to learn from our experiences.
Yeah.
This is what makes us resilient.
And it will be part of our lifestyle na,
Oo.
hindi
Yeah.
ba? Hindi yung meron tayong dinaan ng paghihirap tapos natuto tayo dun sa panahon na yun tapos
Kalimutan na.
kalimutan na, hindi. Dapat kung ano yung disiplina na natutunan natin, yung mga, kumbaga, more simple life natutunan natin. Let's not give it up, but let's move on with that same
Yes.
simplicity.
may binanggit itong kay Abelina, sinasabi niya yung jetmatic daw ng kanilang ng poso nasunog,
Yeah.
yung motor.
Oo.
So ngayon, nagbalik pagbomba sila hand pumps.
Oo.
Mhm.
Alam niyo, these actions actually will help. Why?
Mhm.
Because in many situations na nangyayari,
Mhm.
when disaster come your way or whether it's nasunog yung bomba nyo,
Mm.
we should not look at it as
Funny, no?
ang hirap. Actually, when you pump water this way,
Mhm.
you will realize the value of what that is,
Yes.
tubig. And
Ayaw mo nang aksayahin. Ano ka
Ayaw mo
bago,
aksayahin.
di bago.
katulad dito sa amin ngayon nagtanim ng palay. I think halos 3.5 hectares na inatam na namin ng palay. Nagtataka yung mga tao, sir, mataas yata ang presyo ng lahat ng yung cost of production.
Ngayon.
Lahat.
oo.
Sabi ko, I'm going for organic. I'm mixing some, yung mas lalo yung bagong conversion. But right now, what's important is food,
Mm-mm.
not just pantawid gutom, but healthy food.
Oo,
But
this
yet
is
at the same
becoming
time, you
productive
educate.
kasi.
Yeah, you need to be proactive with these
Mm-mm.
things. Simply, it's part of trying to settle things down. If there is a food crisis, grow more food.
Oo, kailangan tayong handa.
That's
Maghanda tayo. Oo.
let's grow more food. Kumbaga na,
Huwag
ako,
natin intayin maubos.
aanin ko yung 3 hektare ng bigas.
Oo.
It's like, no, it has to do with, in case things do go wrong, it's not about a business proposition. It's about making grains available.
Yes.
That's all it is. And making it so that it lasts a longer time
Mm.
in your granary.
Mm.
You're storing it right, walang nabubulok, meron akong kasabihan dito eh. Every grain counts. Every small plant of rice counts here. We cannot, even if there's an impending issue or not, because nature puts so much to make that seed produce multiple seeds for you to feed everyone else.
Mm.
Kaya if you see and appreciate this, you will look into every resource given to you. You make full use of it.
Mm.
When Abilina was talking about that water,
Mm-mm.
going back to a jetmatic way of pumping, it's a good way to start learning how valuable it is and how you should conserve every drop of
Mm.
water.
Yes. So, oo.
Pero nga minsan natutuyuan na yung mga balon kaya yung nasusunog yung mga makina dahil talagang walang
Natutuyuan,
masipsip.
hindi makasipsip. Nasira na yung kumbaga na yung maganda nga yung makina mo, pero yung nasisipsip, yung pondohan sa ilalim,
Wala.
kulang. Right? So yung foot valve, ang tawag nila, may pyesa yun eh. Sip-sip lang siya ng sip-sip, hangin ang nakuha ngayon. So,
Tsaka to give
What do you-
time also kasi kung hand pump, parang there's time for it to gather again.
Right.
Diba?
To replenish.
to replenish. And you know what your limits are.
Yes.
Sabi ko dun sa aking mga kausap kahapon, alam nyo, i-estimate nyo, no, kano karami ba yung populasyon ng Clark City at saka Angeles City? Sabi nila mga 1.4 million. Okay, times 90 liters. That's how much water is being pumped. Hindi pa kasama yung mga nasa factories, nasa mga, kumbaga yung golf courses, lahat nga ng mga sapa ron.
Kaubos
Tuyo na eh. When I visited the Aita community, they were saying, sir, sapang bato ito noon, puro sapa.
Pero wala nang
Sabi ko,
sapa. Bato na lang.
Ngayon, hindi na bato eh. Sapang buhangin. Puro
Really?
buhangin na yung natabunan yung mga bato nila eh. Pero, sabi ko, alam nyo, may tubig pa rin dito sa ilalim. Pero wag natin sasabihin doon sa mga taga-iba ha. Kasi sila, kinukuha nila lahat ng tubig sa ilalim ng lupa.
Ay,
Kailangan
ilan lang
yan.
ba ang nag-golf, no? Wag natin ubusin ng
Oh,
tubig
it's
dyan.
very consuming in terms of water and also the pesticides and the mga herbicides na ginagamit for keeping those grass.
Sana pang grow na lang ng
Meron din comment si Miguel Vargas sa atin, no? Ay,
Raise it again. Oh yeah, there you go.
and also to make actions from the events we experience para if ever a particular disaster happens again, we know what to do and damages will be minimized and accidents lessened. Oh, this is about resilience, sinasabi niya.
Yeah, recently, this earthquake na ganon, there were a lot of, kumbaga, you could see the effects of preparedness
Yes.
and response, no matter what. But yet, at the same time, we were fortunate that it didn't stay
Matagal.
It didn't-
Oo.
10 seconds.
Short
at
lang
that,
siya.
But if that was a little longer, I think we can see so much damage. And it happened in the time of the day. That's magano una-una, walang mga estudyante sa eskwela.
Oo, yan. Oo.
In Baguio, when the earthquake hit Baguio,
Oo.
many of the students were in schools.
Oo, palabas na sila.
Palabas na
Pero
sila.
they were still
And they're the biggest and tallest buildings. One of those, mga eskwelahan eh. And you will find the casualties were,
marami sa schools, sa university.
Mhm.
so you see that this is the situation. But now, even in because the structures are larger and taller and so many, we have to take stock. What is it that we really want? do want to embrace this type of development, or do we, slow it down a bit and
Mhm.
assess
Mhm.
what is best and go back to basics,
Yan, oo.
right? Resilience is based on compassion for ourselves as well as compassion for others.
Yeah,
This is so true.
self-care is
Self-care.
important. Oo.
Si Susan bumabati rin sa atin ng good morning. Okay?
Go, 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 go,
Meron.
palakas daw.
Oo.
Sure.
Sabi ni Milay dito sa Rizal, ang lakas po ng tubig. Okay.
Kasi na marami,
that's
Milay, the
nice.
reason why you have water right now, you're next to the Sierra Madres. But
Ay,
that's why binabaha.
tuloy-tuloy. Oo.
But you will see many things that even yourself as an individual, even malakas yung tubig. Kasi may ganitong activity ginagawa eh. On my side, being a conservationist, the most important component that we don't like to happen is that when you have wastewater, polluted water, that's why when you go to around Metro Manila or Rizal areas, you have Laguna Bay. Laguna Bay is full of pollution.
Oo, sa fish pen nila.
Not only that, but the factories.
Yes,
And
factories.
lahat ng mga kalye na ginawa, all the rain water
The
from the drainage,
Influence ba yung tawag
yeah,
doon?
goes to many of these places, then it exits to the Manila Bay. This is something like we've asked for trouble. We're asking for trouble doing what we have done in the
Polluting our
last 50
water.
years. Because the seas, kumbaga is the last of the frontiers because it supplies us the oxygen we need
Mhm.
for all wildlife, for all living beings. The key is the oxygen.
Mhm.
And the sea supplies 60% of the
Yeah,
oxygen
most
needs
of what we need.
of the world. 40% comes from the trees. So, but I'm not trying to honor the trees. The trees have a role too.
Hmm.
The trees, when earthquake comes, they serve as a shock absorber.
Yeah. Hindi sila natotopple basta sa
Oo.
earthquake.
We live in Lotus Valley, yung aming ridges, napaka-steep. Yung mga crest na tataas.
Oo.
But this time, there was no slide.
Yes, protected kami by the
Trees are-
trees. So,
I was always confident that pag may ganito, kailan tayo dyan. But yet, ngayon, pag nagkaroon ng earthquake na ganon, those of us in these main areas who are doing recovery and helping in the rescue and you admire all of those who are volunteering for this type of work because it's so risky. But we should not only check the buildings. Right now, puro buildings ang tinitingnan whether it's an appropriate place for people to go to. You also have to go around and take stock of what mountains might come down during the rainy season. Kasi nakalugyan na. Pag walang mga puno, damo lang, the grass can only handle so deep of
the
rooting system. But the trees are the one that handles most.
Sa Leyte, di ba, nagkaroon ng landslide tapos bumaba yung landslide papuntang dagat. Kasi tinanim nila mga coconut lang.
Oo, mababaw ang kanyang ugat.
Pure, kumbaga one type of tree lang.
Yeah, nabanggit ni Milay, sabi niya, kaya konting ulan law nagbabaha. Kasi alam nyo, in nature, baliktad. Nature's design makes it so that when rains come, there are wetlands, there are places that are the landscape. This is where nare-retain yung tubig. Dito nga sa amin sa La Union, punta kayo ng Bawang. Palaki na ng palaki yung dati noon. Pag dumaan ka dyan, papunta rito sa San Fernando, puro tubigan yung Bawang. Ngayon, wala na yung tubigan. May marshes lahat yan. So, building, simento na. So, kaya, pag sinabi ni Milay na sa konting ulan lang, may baha na, syempre, walang sinisipsipan Walang puro simentado na.
Walang infiltration ng water into the ground.
Tsaka napakabilis ng takbo ng tubig. Kasi yung mga kalye at saka yung mga gutter ng bahay natin, ang bilis. Sobrang bilis.
Pugaw sa mga mountain province, kita ko yung video, talagang pati tricycle at saka kotse, tinatangay nung tubig. As in, rumaragas na talaga. Tapos yung force.
When you see that in places like
the roads do.
The mountain province and Ifugao ng araw, they had the science of being able to maximize the use of water resource.
Oh, with
But
their
when I
rice terraces.
Yeah, when I saw that recently happen, they forgot their past.
Silang
That's what I said. Ang galing nila pagdating sa tubig. They were so good and able to handle the excess water that come out. They created diversions where the water
Yeah.
would flow so that it takes time to flow in nature.
Yeah.
Yung excess water na lang, sige na, let it go. Let it go to the rivers and streams. That will take care of far-flung lands.
Oo.
May ganun yun eh.
Oh,
But this time no more.
everybody gets water.
This time no more. We don't have a system to slow the movement of fresh water out of the land.
Nature slows it down.
Right.
So it can be used and distributed. But nakailam tayo, ngayon sobrang bilis. So may time na sobrang tubig, may time na wala naman.
So sobrang,
ngayon na, beginning pa lang ng rainy season, meron mga areas na tayong binabaha. So, try and think pag dumating yung siyam-siyam.
Oo,
Si,
hopefully,
talagang
dumating, ay,
ano pa yung mga bagyo, ang bigat ng ng bagsak ng ulan. Kaya we have to be prepared, no, for those disasters. Ayan, be resilient, but also be prepared ahead of time.
yes,
Kung
based
anong
on our
gagawin.
experiences rin. Oo.
yeah, because when you have such yung rumaragasa na tubig na napakabilis, you know what it is? Why are rivers all brown right now?
Ayun, wala na.
That's your topsoil.
Sure.
So, di ba binanggit ko dalawang factor,
Kailangan pa naman natin yan.
Tubig.
Soil.
at lupa. Pag nagbabrown yung ating mga karagatan at ang mga ilog at saka mga tributaries, ibig sabihin lang nun, we're wiping out our topsoils. So
Which
there you
is
go.
their source of food.
This is what we have to all be aware of, that we need to manage and manage well. So, when you talk about resiliency in this world, these are just a component of what we're talking about in our existence. But really, by nature, we have been gifted with intelligence and the ability to make the right choices.
Mhm.
And don't ride along kung ano yung meron and just think, this is probably the right choice. Let's not be afraid of becoming different and seeing things differently. We have to be realistic on how we have to live our lives. Now, if you think we are faced with such dilemma right now, can you imagine what it's going to be like 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now? And alalahanan niyo, we have children, we raise our kids, and what kind of life they would have, yung grandchildren natin, lahat ng mga future generation, even if you don't become too personal about it, but in general, everybody would have to face the same dilemma of our own doing and unresponsive, kumbaga na,
Yes.
we're not responsible for actions that we are performing now.
Maybe we didn't directly do it, but then we're complacent. We're
Mhm.
apathetic.
Yes, we are, kumbaga na, responsible for actions we do. This is our nature.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're lacking on proper guidance. Meron eh. It is the choice that we make. So we have to always make sure that the choice we make makes our life better and makes the life of the future better.
Oo nga.
But if you are consuming more than what you need, it will show in many ways. The waste. Oops.
Many ways.
Ito yung wasteland.
So,
Sabi ni Miguel Vargas, meron pa siyang pahaba.
yeah, ito. Tinambakan ang mga swamps. So, yes, that's so true.
Ang pinakamasama.
Okay.
Hindi raw protected area.
Naku, Diyos.
Sabi ng
That guy has to
So, it is so unfortunate that you get such a response because kumbaga,
Sila pa
ba't pa kayo nagtrabaho sa DNR? Yan. Okay, okay. Nagre-request, sana pa may part 2. O, sige,
Actually, dami pang
ang dami itong topic nito. Alright, meron kasi yan on your own personal resiliency. Let's talk about that. This is the general one. Alright,
And continue to share with us.
have a nice weekend and you all stay safe.
Stay safe.
Thank you.
Pangkalusugan, pangkalikasan, go Palakas!